Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at the new Ethereals. This has been just updated today. They actually reworked and changed, buffed and nerfed some builds in Diablo 3 for the new Ethereal weapons, but there also is a few other changes that I did want to go over in today's video. So just a heads up, I'll only be going over the newer changes with these. So if you guys want to see the effects of all the Ethereals, I have a dedicated video towards that, but this video is just for the updates as that's mostly the important part of this video. So anyways, first off, let's go and hop right into Crusader. So a lot of different ancient ethereal weapons. This is only for season 24. They did get even buffed further, which is insane because they are already quite strong. So here's the changes with Crusader. We're looking at the very bottom of the blue text. It says killing an enemy reduces the cooldown of speed charge by 1 second. So this is a nice little buff and additional like power on it for, let's say, speed builds. And then with the Asheron's Iron Ward, this added +1 to maximum damage per Paragon level up to 800. This is a huge amount of extra damage that Crusader will have at its disposal. So those are the changes with Crusader. Moving on to the Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter got a huge buff with Bariza. So Bariza has a bonus. It's the final blue text that says hits against enemies are always critical hits. This is huge. It's going to open up the doors for a lot of different builds, as I'm wondering if people can run like other builds that will freeze enemies that will just be like a ZDPS to actually further increase a God Demon Hunter, which they are already strong. And with this newer godly buff, hits against enemies are always critical hits. We might actually see a build where they're just relying on just freezing the enemies to gain massive amounts of extra damage. I'm wondering if enemies that are hit by your teammates can also activate the 100% crit, or if it's only going to be from the Demon Hunter, or if it's only from Bariza's effect. I cannot confirm any of this, but this again is a huge deal to have basically double crit, because on average most people hit about 55% crit. So that could be a huge buff though. And then next up with Doomslinger, we have a bonus of killing an elite pack increases move speed by 30% for 7 seconds. So it's good for speed builds. Now these ones will always just roll, like it's just gonna have it. Now this one's a little bit different. Windforce has the special ability, and this is not in the final blue text. This one is actually going to be on the first blue text with a little gold or orange diamond right next to it, where it says reduces all resource costs by, it can roll anywhere from 40 to 50%. So this is exactly like Yang's, but Windforce is a very difficult weapon to roll. I did a dedicated video where we opened up 100 or identified 100 plus of these ancient ethereal items, and Windforce is an absolute nightmare to roll because it's hard to get the stats to roll correct on, and plus it rolls only bonus damage to archery skills, and then your legendary ability has to be an archery skill, otherwise it's kind of like pointless for the ethereal. So this one is still going to be very difficult to roll, but it does have a huge buff. That is an awesome buff for survivability, because that's hatred and discipline. Next up, moving on to the Monk. Monk actually got a few different changes as well. So with Bartuk's Cutthroat, the buff on this one, I got my notes on the side here. So it's Bartuk's made so the consecutive hits to enemies increases the damage by 10%. It's the final blue text. Up to 100%. There's a few things that used to be up to like 30, but this is actually a pretty nice little buff for them, especially since Monk is generally going to be attacking very fast anyways. Next up, moving on to the Shadow Killer. This is going to be more for people that need survivability. We have reduces the damage of enemies hit by 25% for 5 seconds, so that can be excellent again for survivability. Now, Monk actually took a few other changes here with the Inniset, as well as a few nerfs technically for the Wave of Light build and other builds that would benefit off of things that were kind of unintentional. So they did make some of the changes. They made it so like the AI works a little bit better. It also works with the Enforcer gem. With the Earth Ally, there were some bugs, I guess, that they fixed out, but it's not super important. I'll leave the patch notes down below in case anyone wants to read like the bug fixes with it, but I just want to go over the things that would make more sense, like they adjusted the attack speed with the Mystic Allies and stuff. But the main bonus with the Inniset, with the 6-piece bonus where it says 3,000%, this actually used to be 950%, so they've over you know, it's over 2,000 100% bonus damage for each mystic ally. However, it also took some nerfs, and this was something that was kind of an unintentional over here. So yeah, this number is a huge change, but with the crudest boots, it used to be 300% to 400% extra bonus damage with the blue text with the legendary ability with the mystic ally. It has now been changed from 150 to 200%, so basically cut in half. And then on top of that, the Bindings of the Lesser Gods, which is the bracers, took a nerf as well. It used to be 100, or used to be 300 to 400. Now it's 150 to 200%. So again, basically cutting that in half. So they basically halved it twice over here. Again, unintentionally, they buffed the other builds. So that's the changes with monks. Now moving on to the other classes over here, we have the Necromancer. Now Necromancer is the only one that just straight up took a nerf, unfortunately, and it has to do with Soul Harvest. So Soul Harvest got a nerf of reducing the value of maximum essence. So it used to roll randomly 45 to 50 increased maximum essence on it. Now you can only roll 9 to 12. So that's a huge difference because of Relina Shadowhook, which is pretty much what most people will be running on Necromancer. So Necromancer, unfortunately, is getting nerfed with this. Then they only took a nerf. And on top of that, they removed the critical hit bonus damage that you got with it, because it rolled crit hit chance damage and crit damage, but it no longer rolls that damage on it. So again, another big nerf to Necromancer, unfortunately, with these newest changes. Now moving on to Witch Doctor, we actually got 3 different abilities here on the Witch Doctor. Starting out with the Needle, we have removed plus 100 damage to all Witch Doctor skills, and it's plus 200 damage to all decay skills. So technically that's a nerf and a buff. Overall, it's probably going to be a buff, because if you're running that item, you're more than likely going to want to be using those decay skills. So it's like one of those skill categories. And then on top of that, Ghost Flame actually got a change as well. They removed the plus 100 damage to all Witch Doctor skills, and it's now 200 damage to all secondary skills. And they also adjusted the damage range to be more consistent with other one-handed Ethereals, so that's a little adjustment there as well. And the Gidbin over here, it removed the 100% damage to all Witch Doctor skills, and it's now 200% damage to all Voodoo skills. So again, that's probably going to be seen as a buff overall for the Witch Doctor. Now the Wizard also got some changes over here. I would say these are just buffs though. So with the Oculus, we now have the Affix, reducing the damage of enemies hit, so that's just extra survivability. It's the very final blue text on the bottom there, so again, better for survivability. And then with Wizard Spike, we got some extra damage, so it's the final blue text, and consecutive hits to enemies increases damage done by 10% up to 100%, so nice for like Rift Guardians and killing bosses over there. And then just to mention, because I was wondering, I was like, did Barb get kind of left out here? And they did. Going into the Legendaries, these are the ancient ethereal weapons that did not get affected by it, but I did cover these in a previous video. These just didn't get changed. So pretty much Barbarian had no changes whatsoever. So every class got changed. Technically Necromancer took the only like full L here. Everything else pretty much got a buff. Yeah, you can argue that it's a nerf in some departments, but it's overall going to be a buff for most classes. And on top of that, the Inez set is getting a huge, nice little buff in some departments, but also nerfed in others. But I'm curious to know what you guys think of this list. I think they should have just added something for Barbarian. I like the idea, and just to give him some feedback, because we're on the PTR, I like the idea of like trying to build towards like freezing enemies and specifically doing things. I think that adds a little bit more to certain builds, so I would like to see that incorporated in Barbarian or other builds as well. I think that encourages more creativity and perhaps opens up the doors for newer builds. But those are my thoughts. You guys can let me know yours on these new changes to the ancient ethereal items. If you guys want to learn more about them, I have tons of other videos. If you happen to be new here and you do want to see it, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and I'll update you guys on any new changes with these new godly weapons, as they're definitely going to be the best in slot for season 24. But anyways, take care guys, and I'll catch you on the next video. Have a good one. I'm signing out. Peace.